Welcome to the College and Career Ready podcast. I'm your host, Sonia Cacique. Today, I have the honor and privilege to share a sweet friend of mine, Chrysty Lockhart. Chrysty is a wife, bonus, and bio mama, a teacher, and host of the Start Scared podcast. She joins us today to remind each one of us to live in the moment, declutter our life, and to enjoy those around us. Chrysty lost her dad recently, something I can completely understand and relate, and she is now on a mission to live her life more fully, more present, and enjoy the gift of experiences with her family. So join us as she helps us declutter our life and live more fully and present in the moment. But before we get started on today's episode with Chrysty, I do want to express my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for tuning in. We know that your time is valuable, and the fact that you've chosen to spend it with us means the world to us. The College and Career Ready podcast aims to empower students, parents, educators, and professionals alike by providing valuable insights, practical tips, and inspiring stories from experts across various fields. We believe that everyone deserves a chance to achieve their dreams and reach their full potential. But here's the thing. We can't do it alone. We need your support, your engagement, and your willingness to spread the word about our podcast. Together, we can create a ripple effect that reaches far and wide, impacting lives and shaping the future. So, dear friends, I kindly ask for your help. If you find our podcast valuable, thought-provoking, or even entertaining, we would be truly grateful if you could share it with your friends, family, colleagues, and anyone else who might benefit from it. Together, let's build a vibrant community dedicated to learning, growing, and being more successful. Thank you once again for joining us on this exciting journey towards college and career readiness. And without further ado, let's get started. Welcome, Chrysty. Welcome to the College and Career Ready podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It's a joy having you here. And so I want to share with the audience a little bit about you and why I thought you were so important to have in our podcast. Our audience is our next gen, from high school graduate, high school senior, to college student and parents. So I thought you would be a great guest because we really want to help the next gen set them for success starting off, right from the beginning. And your experience has been with consumerism and minimalism. And I think that goes hand in hand with following your dreams, decluttering mind, body, your area, your home, so you can really get started on the right track and not have all of that extra clutter, right? In your mind and in your being. So I am really excited to have you today. I'm sure you're going to share a lot of important tips and strategies. So beforehand, why don't you introduce yourself to your audience and tell us about yourself?
Wow. Talk about like a major introduction. Hopefully I can live up to all that. My name is Chrysty, and I'm just so grateful to be here. First and foremost, I'm a believer. I'm wife to Frank. We've been married 11 years. We have 3 kids. 2 of them are my bonus kids from Frank's previous marriage. Malcolm is 19, Addison is 17. And then we have Bruce, who is ours together. He's 8. I am an educator. I've been a teacher I will be starting my 18th year in the fall. I'm actually pivoting into a different role that I've never done before. I get to kind of create a whole new program, which I'm really excited about, super nervous about. But it's going to be totally new and different, something that I've never done before. I'm also a podcaster. We also are in the throes of creating an Airbnb at the Texas coast right now. And so we've been moving, back and forth, trying to get that ready. And so that's just been a lot and a little stressful, but exciting all at the same time, because it's going to be a family place for us and for, guests who want to come and spend time at the beach with their family. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, just super pumped to be here.
Awesome. Super. I love it. I love it. And especially with your background in education. So, we both have a love for students, right?
Yes.
And student
Yes.
success. So why don't you explain to us a little bit about or educate us on consumerism and minimalism? How did you start learning about that and implementing it into your life?
So it goes way back. Like I've always felt like when I was younger, I always felt like I needed more. I always wanted to have all of the things, right? Kind of keeping up with the Joneses in a sense. And it got to the point just over the last couple of years that I was like, we just have so much stuff. And we had a 1,700 square foot house, and then we built a much larger, I think it's almost 4,000. And so we've got bigger space because we have a bigger family, because when I met Frank, I was already living in the smaller house. So we had a bigger family. We needed, a bigger space, but then it was like we were accumulating more stuff. Just because we had a bigger place, we needed to fill it with more stuff. And that was very, very stressful for me. Like I would walk into a room and I would my heart would just pound out of my chest. And so consumerism versus minimalism is like a feeling to me, it's like, holy cow, I can't breathe, like being suffocated among or underneath all of these things that we really don't need. And so I even have, I spend time purging and just, donating things that I don't need if I haven't used it, because it's not serving a purpose for me. It may serve a purpose for somebody else. I've got to clear my space so that I can breathe. And that to me is really, really important. But like I said, it wasn't just until a couple years ago that I was like, okay, this is too much. This is too much. And so, now that we are building this Airbnb, I'm like, less is more, guys. Like we don't need to have all of this stuff. I'm like, we don't need to have it's so funny. I love my mom to death. She's one of my favorite human beings in the whole wide world, but she and I are very different. And I know that we're going to talk kind of a little bit about this too, but she and I are very different. She likes to have the knickknacks. And I'm like, no knickknacks.
Yes.
It's like more clutter, more things that break, more things to clean. Like I don't need more.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's important you brought this up where the more you have to manage, the more you have to clean, and the more you have to be responsible for those items.
Yep.
Right. And so tell me a little bit about your experiences. How did we all start wanting more? Where do you think that we just started believing that the more is better?
It's almost like it's like a look at me mentality kind of thing, like I said earlier, keeping up with the Joneses, but look at me, I've got X, Y, and Z. And so that makes me worthy. And that's how I lived my life for so many years. And I'm like, no way. Like the worthiness comes from inside, not the clothes that I have on my body. And I'm not going to lie, I still have a hard time with buying a lot of clothes.
Yes.
But the clothes that I have on my body doesn't equal worthiness. The handbag that I carry doesn't equal worthiness. The way that I have my hair doesn't equal worthiness. It's who I am on the inside. And so I think that that's a lot of reprogramming that I've had to go through that, because that's something that I've lived my life for so long. Like, yes, I still have, a nice handbag, but I prefer to wear the smaller one versus the bigger one. You know what I mean? And it's just, things just seem to be, as I get older, things are becoming smaller because I don't need the more. Because like I said, the more is, look at me, I've got this. So now I'm enough. Now I'm worthy. No. That doesn't have anything to do with it. It's who you are on the inside.
I love that, because that's a great question to ask oneself when we want more, whether it's a purse, a bag, an electronic, the newest thing out there. What is the reason for it? Is it because we lack confidence within ourselves? Like you said, are we looking to feel worthy? So what is the real reason behind wanting that new item?
Yeah. And I also find sometimes, like if I'm scrolling on Amazon, it's, or like adding things to my cart, even though I may not buy it, it's like almost that I'm trying to numb an emotion. And I'm like experiencing, like, I don't want to deal with something that I'm going through right now. So then I'm going to go scroll on Amazon and add things to my cart. I don't always buy, which is good. I stop there, but still, I find that like that consumerism piece is a way to also numb an emotion or a feeling that you don't want to experience.
Let me ask you this. So when you feel that emotion, so let's say a student is wanting to buy something, what is a strategy that they could do in the moment to see if something else will fill that feeling within them?
Oh my gosh, go outside. I have done a daily walk every single day, and it has done, I'm not saying that I'm still not like stressed out. Like I said, we're putting this Airbnb together and it's very overwhelming. And I have an 8-year-old son home from summer break, but I get outside. That's the first thing I do in the morning after I take my supplements and I eat a little morning snack. I go for a walk. I get the sunlight in my eyes. I just move, and it doesn't even have to be long. I think like my longest walk has been like 1.5 miles, but I get outside and I smell the fresh air and I hear the birds, and it just changes the mood. So if my suggestion, if you are scrolling on Instagram or on Amazon or wherever, and you are trying to numb something, put your phone away and get outside.
I love it. I love it. So powerful. So powerful, especially because as a student, it is important for them to learn early on how to save their money, because, we want them to graduate with their degree and have a set starting point, right? Not in debt because they have over purchased things that were not necessary. Yep. What benefits have you seen personally now that you are more on the minimalism track and just really not buying things just because you want to accumulate? Otherwise, it's more of wanting to buy something because you feel like you need it rather than just, I just want it for the moment.
Yeah. And, full transparency, I still buy things in the moment, and I still, have a closet full of clothes that I don't wear. But it's more of a conscious effort now versus always just buying what I want. If I'm, find a shirt or something that I'm like, oh, I want to buy that, I stop and I think, and I'm like, okay, do I really need that? But the reason why I tend to gravitate towards making sure that things are more minimalistic in the home than prior versions of my house is because I can breathe more. Like when things have a home, when, and they're in an organized drawer, or things aren't just sitting on the counter, or like, for example, our garage is so stressful right now. And we've got stuff just in it. And I'm just like, I walk through the garage every single day, multiple times a day, and it just almost gives me a panic attack. But then when I go into my kitchen, it's more organized and I can breathe. My living room, I can breathe. And so even one of my, my summer projects this summer is to go through every room and declutter again, so it's not something that you do once and then it's like that forever, because things start to accumulate again. And I always like to make sure that everything has a home. But then when things are starting to not have a home, then it's time to kind of reevaluate. And so, like I said, it's something that takes time. And it's also something that isn't just a one and done deal. And, but like, I'm just looking around my room right now and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got like stacks of books. Where can I put those? Maybe in a drawer, or can I donate the ones I've already read so that they're not taking up so much space on a counter?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you bring that up, because sometimes, especially the study room or the place where students spend their most time, or in their room, they might be studying and their mind is constantly going around whatever is around, whatever is not in place, or disorganized, and you're not even thinking about it, but you're not concentrating either on what you're doing, because unconsciously your brain is just picking up all the signals from around.
My gosh, that is so true. So true.
Yeah. So, okay, let's give students some ideas as far as decluttering. Let's say they're preparing, this is their last year at home or their first year at college. How can they start? Where should they start as far as decluttering?
Well, first of all, you want to think about like if you're moving into a dorm room, chances are the dorm room is a lot smaller than where you are right now. And so you're not going to be able to just pick up your bedroom and put it into a dorm room. So I highly encourage, and I didn't get the chance to do this with Malcolm, but I know that his mom did, but go through everything you have. Do I really need this? Like, do I wear it? Does it bring me joy? Can mom or dad send it later if I find that I really miss it or that I need it? But really, there's just not as much space as you would think. And teenagers, especially if this is not something that they're used to, it's not intuitive. You want to bring your whole wardrobe, right? You want to bring everything, but you don't have the space. So let's go through everything. Do you really want to wear this? Or, if you're going to, let's say, I went to a school in Florida. I didn't need winter clothes. So let's not pack winter clothes right now. Let's just focus on what I need for the season. And then mom and dad can send you some later. But we don't need everything that doesn't bring us joy or that it doesn't fit the season. You know what I mean? Because it's just not going to fit into your space and you're not going to need it all,
Yeah, absolutely. Or possibly even the things you are unsure of. I always say, put it away in a certain area where you can date it or put a little reminder, go back to it in about 2 months. If you haven't even touched it, you're probably not going to be using it anytime soon.
That's a great idea. I love that idea.
Awesome. What about for parents? So how can parents help their children really find what is essential and what is not? Hi, friend. Before we dive back into today's engaging discussion, we have an exciting announcement to make. Are you eager to stay up to date with the latest college and career ready news, insightful blogs, and gain early access to the following week's episode topic? Well, we've got just the thing for you. I'm thrilled to introduce our College and Career Ready newsletter. By joining our community, you'll be part of a vibrant group of parents and students with aspirations of being college and career ready. Plus, you'll get exclusive access to all the valuable resources we have to offer. So, how do you join? It's simple. Just head over to collegecareerready.org, all one word, collegecareerready.org, and navigate to the resource tab. There, you'll find a sign-up link to our newsletter. It's quick and easy to join. And it's the best way to stay connected with us and elevate your college and career journey. Join us today at collegecareerready.org and click on the resource tab where you can sign up to our newsletter. We can't wait to welcome you into our community. Thank you for being part of our podcast family. And now back to the show.
Well, I think that we need to make sure that you have those, essential toiletries. Those are essential. Maybe we can create some kind of capsule wardrobe so that we can utilize, the same pants multiple times with different shirts, and like I said, it's not necessarily intuitive for them. So it's going to be a team effort. You know what I mean? And I think that that's also a really good opportunity to spend that special time with your kid before they move off to college. Yeah. And then you don't get to see them as much, And so I think that it's just having those conversations. I love the idea of putting it into, different piles and different stacks. And, but like I said, I think it would be super fun to, I know I keep going back to clothes because that's my biggest issue, but creating a capsule wardrobe so that you don't have all of these different, options, or you have all of these different options, but with the minimal amount of clothing.
I love that. I love that. Absolutely. So talk to us a little bit about overconsumption. So give us a high level overview of overconsumerism.
Well, I think everything in excess is not good for you. Everything, too much food is not good for you. Too much exercise is not good for you. Too much sleep is not good for you. Too much alcohol is not good for you. So everything in excess in some way, shape, or form is not a good thing. And so you have to find that balance or those boundaries around certain things, especially, like if you do feel like you shop online too much, put a time limit on that app so that when you've been on it a certain amount of time, it'll close it out and you're not allowed to be on that anymore. Or like I said, when you're trying to numb on Amazon or whatever, put your phone away and get outside. You've got to really think about, okay, well, what am I over consuming? And then put those boundaries around it. So that you can stop over consuming those things, because everything in excess is not good for you.
Absolutely. And it seems like the messages are everywhere. Unconsciously, it's on social media, it's on TV. I mean, it's everywhere that more is actually better.
Yeah. It really is. And you get those messages on Instagram of different shops and different things, or, our Instagram feeds are covered in influencers telling us that you need to buy these eye patches, or that you need to, get this makeup and whatever. And it makes things so easy to just click and buy.
Yeah.
Click and buy. It just makes it so easy and so simple. And I think it can become a real big problem and a real big issue if you don't have that awareness and those boundaries around certain things that you're finding that you're over consuming.
Yeah. Maybe just going through your Amazon shopping cart from the last 6 months and how much you're really using the items that you purchased.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my Amazon shopping cart is ridiculous. But we also are doing the Airbnb right now. But I was actually looking through it earlier today, and I was like, oh my gosh, we have bought so much stuff. But I'm really trying to, like I said, less is more. And so I'm really trying to just do, what do we need? What do the guests need to be comfortable and to enjoy their stay? They don't need all the different knickknacks. They're not looking for that. So we don't need all of that stuff.
Yeah. And so I actually want to bring a little bit of a bridge here, because yes, the first thing we think about in, overconsumption is clothes, shoes, electronics. But the other thing that sometimes gets overlooked is some of the things the students buy, such as planners, pens in like 500 different kinds of shades of colors. And you think that by buying these items, you're actually going to study. Or you're actually going to dedicate more time in your planner to set a better schedule. And at the end of the day, it's just more things, more notebooks, more notepads. Again, I've done it too before with like the life planner and the planner and all those things. But when you really look back, it's taking up space, it's taking up time. And sometimes it's kind of like you're filling in the time that you need to be doing something with almost nothing in return.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're filling a void, right? Yeah. And so you, instead of doing that thing that you're avoiding, you are filling the space with something else, whether it's social media or technology or extra planners and pens. But I think it just goes back to avoiding something, whether it's a feeling or studying or, whatever. And I think that that's really an important question to ask yourself is, what am I avoiding in buying this? What's my goal? What's my outcome? And my outcome is like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to get away from doing X, Y, and Z. And so I think that that's a really powerful question to ask yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And so some of the negative effects, what have you seen that this has done? Having so many messages coming out and people thinking that they need to buy more, what kind of negative effects have you seen on people?
I think it has a negative effect on your mental health and your self-esteem and, constantly trying to almost be someone that you're not. And trying to, avoid looking yourself in the mirror and figuring out who you are. You're trying to wear this mask to be somebody else. And maybe it's just buying an extra planner because I'm trying to be the organized one, or I'm trying to, and I can tell you in college, I did the same thing. I'm like, oh, if I write with these different color pens, then I'm going to study better. And no, all I needed was a dang pencil. I take better notes with a dang pencil than I do with anything else.
Yeah.
But you have to figure that out, right? But
Yeah.
it's like trying to put a mask on to be somebody you're not, rather than figuring out exactly who you are.
Yeah. So for students, let's say the child and the parents are mismatched. So either we have maybe our next gen, trying to start being minimalist. You said a perfect example with your mom. How do you work together when you're so different in that aspect?
Well, I think that when you are talking about the younger generation versus an older generation, I want to encourage the younger generation that it's okay to be different. You weren't brought in this world to be the exact same as your parents, but also to know that it's not going to be easy, because the older generation, they've been like this forever, and they may not know how to change, or they may not feel like there's anything wrong. And so like, I just want to say, like, gentle parenting, like I parent my kids very differently than I was parented. And so my parents may not understand what I'm doing, but I also know that what I'm doing is the right thing. So it's okay to be different. It's okay to pivot and change and be a generational change maker, but also know that it's going to be hard for your parents, and to give them some grace, because that's all they know, right? So give them grace, be kind, but do what you know in your heart is right, or what makes you feel good, because in the end, you are the only person who has to live with you and your decisions. And so if you try to be just like your mom, or try to be just like whoever, then in turn, if you aren't fully happy with who you are, then that's something that you need to have a conversation with yourself about. Because if you're just doing it to appease your parents, then at the end of the day, can you lay your head down on your pillow and be happy with the decision that you made?
Yeah, very, very good. What kind of recommendations do you give students as far as gifts and things that, parents or aunts and uncles want to give them, and they don't want necessarily more? What are other good options?
We have done a lot of experience gifts. We love experiences. And so like for Christmas, we aren't going to do presents this year. We're going to take a trip as a family. And so those are the experiences, like maybe a ticket to an aquarium or a ticket to a movie, something where you're not just getting all of these things. You can go and do something together as a family. Like my mom takes my son to art classes, and so they spend that time together. My big kids like to ask for money, and so that they can, use that to pay for gas in their car, or they can use it to go on a trip. But I always tell my 17-year-old Addison is like, and she is better at it than I am. She's like, I just don't want any more stuff. I just want the memories. I love that. She's 17, and she always just like, you can see in her body language, like when we were talking about what she wanted for her birthday, she was like, I don't want anything. She was like, let's go to a concert. Let's do an experience gift. I was like, that. Done. Let's do it.
Very, very cool. What about, now let's do the flip side. What if we have an over minimalist parent who wants to go all on board and the child is just not ready?
I also have that experience. My son, he's 8. He wants to keep everything. He wants to keep even like if he gets a Matchbox car, he wants to keep the packaging so he can remember what the car looks like. I'm like, but let's take a picture of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's trash. We don't need it. And so for me, it's picking your battles. Like, I think if you continue to encourage it, eventually they'll catch on. But right now, we were going through books to bring to the Airbnb. And I said, okay, let's pick 10 books that we can bring. We can, weed out from your book collection, and we can bring to the Airbnb. Now, I want you to remember that we're not getting rid of them forever. You're still going to get to read them when we go to the beach house. but we're also going to provide them to kids who come and visit too. And so just kind of making it small, right? Because if I said, okay, we're going to get rid of half of your books, that is so overwhelming and that would cause a major fight. So I was like, let's pick 10. I think he ended up picking more, but that was his choice, right? And so starting small, picking your battles, because ain't nobody got time for a yelling, screaming match over purging things. And so we just do a little bit at a time. We did his closet a couple of months ago, and, we were going through, stuff, and we're like, well, these toys are broken, or, or this toy doesn't have its matching piece. So I think it's time to get rid of them. But just having those conversations and not just doing it, but almost letting them think that it's their idea. But like I said, starting small and not expecting like a huge change overnight, just continuing to encourage the less is more mentality in the house.
Absolutely. And have you seen financially, have you seen a big difference now that y'all are more considerate, or you actually take the time to think if you're going to be making a purchase or not?
Not necessarily, because we do more experiences, but to me, that is worth its weight in gold. Spending time with my family, doing things that bring us joy, going to concerts, going to the beach, taking, a trip somewhere, that to me is worth its weight in gold. The memories that we make are a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have any takeaways? So if someone wants to take some actions today, what would you recommend?
I just want to encourage the next generation to live now. I recently lost my dad in November, and when he passed away, or before he passed away, we talked about like his biggest regret. And his biggest regret was that he worked too much and he didn't do the things that brought him joy. And so, for those kids who are 17, 18, 19, you have so much life ahead of you. Live now. Like, that is the most important thing. And the stuff that you buy is just stuff. It's not important. And so do things with the people that you love, experience the things that you want to experience, take the trips, make the bucket list, but don't make the bucket list for when I retire. Make the bucket list to do now and to sift through now and, in years to come. But it's just so important to not put so much time and energy on getting things and having more stuff when you can just experience more. I think that's just the biggest thing, is experience more. Yeah. Put your phone down, go outside, be with your people, love your people, do the things that bring you joy.
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's perfect, because experiences are what's really going to go away with us, that we take with us wherever we go. And actually, a lot of experiences don't even need to cost money.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There are so many experiences that are free, that really gets you outdoors and gets you spending time with the people you love. Unfortunately, with social media and technology, I think there's less of that. Mm-hmm. And that is actually making a negative effect on our mental health.
I agree.
Anything else that you want to share with us, Chrysty?
Not that I could think of. I'm just so honored and grateful. It was so fun to have this conversation. Oh, it was super fun. Thank you so much for having me.
And before we leave, can you share with us a book that you recommend, a playlist, or something that you like to relax yourself?
I love to read. My new favorite author currently is Emily Henry. So anything she writes, it is gold. So I can't tell you a favorite one because they're all good, but best author is Emily Henry. If I ever need to have a dance party in the kitchen, I love to listen to Higher Love by Whitney Houston and Kygo. That is my favorite song in the whole wide world. Every time it comes on, I can't help but dance. So those are two of my recommendations.
Oh, super. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for really just opening our eyes more about experiences, less about consuming, living the moment. I think whether we are young or older, that is something that we should all be doing, is being present, living in the moment, and realizing that the things that we need the most are right outside the door with the people we love.
That's right. Exactly right.
Thank you, Chrysty, for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.